Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about the lost art of physical media because over time, as people have went towards the digital age, I feel like a lot is being missed and forgotten. Now, I understand what people are saying. They'll say, yeah, I don't even know why anyone would need those silly physical media discs. I can get it all on the bay. But not everything is available through digital. And that's where I want to talk about today. Because physical media offers a lot of benefits over its digital counterpart. Now, obviously, digital offers convenience, meaning you can have a remote in your hand, choose a movie right there, and be watching within a few seconds. You don't have to go out and source that movie. That is the benefit of digital media. Although, when you have digital ownership or even subscribe to a streaming service, they can remove those or put prices up at a second's notice. So you don't truly own anything. And while I say physical media is more for collectors, it's more for people who want a physical representation of movies they like, I think it's also good to look at the covers of physical media, because that's something that doesn't often get interpreted very well, at least, to the digital age, whether it's on iTunes or a streaming service or whatever. I think the art of physical media is something that's getting lost. Look at the reflective cover of Austin Powers. It is a very nice cover. And while you will look at Austin Powers and say, oh, hold on one second, I don't really think I need to go out and spend that much money on a physical copy of Austin Powers. You also get like collector cards in here, posters, you have the disc artwork, which is something that also gets missed, the artwork on the disc itself. But the experience of physical media is something that's getting lost in the digital age. And that is something that is very important to look at, because as we go more into the digital age and become more prominent in terms of going digital first, something with physical media has an aura to it. Like, look at this version of Titanic. It is a cover that would have been reminiscent of the old movie poster, although this one is a bit different. This one is a newer interpretation of that. Now, this is the version that is also on the digital stores, so I will give it credit for that. But also in here, you'd have things like, the extra disc, like it has 3 discs in it. That's why I picked up this edition, because my American copy only had 1. But, there's so many different things. The artwork of Jaws, legendary. That was sourced from the movie poster. But then, as I said, the artwork on here is slightly different. The Blu-ray has the old style of covers, or the old style of disc art. And then you have the new style for the 4K, and that's something that gets lost so often. Now, it's not just physical movies and TV shows that fill this trend either. It's also the gaming industry. Something like The Last of Us was released on the PS3. And while we've also had the remaster and the remake, look at the original cover of that compared to the remaster with just a black background, and then the remake, which is just Ellie. And all 3 have their own collector's experience, I guess. But when you open up the original, you have a whole other experience. The original disc artwork, that's something that is very important. That is great to have. And then you also have a booklet in there, which is telling you how to play the game. But, this is a collector's experience. And that is a lost art form in itself. The collector experience of physical media has went away throughout the times as well. And that also continued into PS4. I mean, you had one little button, you can see a receipt in there. You have one little, here's how you play the game. Artwork on the disc, obviously. And then by the PS5 era, you just have one little thing saying, oh, and this is PlayStation. So, it's changed over time to where the collector experience has been lost to the eras. Pretty much because not many people are buying physical media as they once did. And that is something that is concerning to me, because a game like GTA 4 just simply isn't available on the PlayStation Store, and there is no way to play it outside of maybe Xbox and PC. I mean, if you're trying to play this on the PlayStation, you're pretty much out of luck. But also, you've seen from Rockstar in the past couple of years, them really going after mods and the gaming community who put mods into their games and try to make it more modern. So this is a product of its time, and it's trapped in that era because Rockstar are not remastering it. And also, if Rockstar were to remaster it, we don't know what we would get, because we've seen what happened with the Definitive Trilogy, or the Definitive Edition of the GTA Trilogy. That was kind of a whole mess. But also with GTA 4, look at the artwork there of Nico. You also have the booklet. You also have a mini-map in there. Like, as I said, it is a collector experience. And while you would say, oh, well, I don't need those silly things, because I would never read them anyways. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that for the people who do collect this stuff, and for future generations, future-proofing games, that's important for someone who may be playing the game for the first time in 50 odd years and say, oh, how do I play this game? This old thing, how am I meant to play this? Now, I'm assuming by then it will be remastered, but that's not always the case. And I think that is something we really have to look at. Game preservation and also movie preservation, not in terms of just the movie itself, the core movie, but also the artwork, the covers over time, how it was released for different generations. Because I've got something here, which is Beverly Hills Cop. That's a VHS tape, but if you look right there, recommended viewing, hi-fi video, this would have been a product of the video rental days. And it's something that's been lost to time. If we open it up here, we can see Phoenix Video on there. There we go. So we know it was from a movie rental store. And that's something that's also well and truly lost at this point in time. Now, there are people who have tried to preserve it over time and say, why bought out stores? I tried to preserve it really early on and try to buy out stores. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the art form of a rental copy, that is kind of lost to time. And I think we need to look at it as, how do we preserve things when the era is saying we go digital first and we don't need any of this and we don't need any of that? I think it's kind of a problem, and I think it's something that we need to look at as a community. Now, I'm not saying everyone should run out and buy their physical media and run out and buy all the discs and run out and buy everything. I'm not saying that. If you like streaming services and you like digital collections, there's nothing wrong with that. That is your preferred method, and I am not knocking you for taking that method. I chose it for a while as well before I went back to physical media. I understand the appeal of a clean look. You don't have to house however many Blu-rays this is. You know, I get the clean look. But what I'm saying is, in saying that, I would want to see some effort from people who even aren't into movies, who say, oh, well, you know, I got to watch True Lies for the first time. And this is the 4K copy, by the way. True Lies, great movie, but also this one has issues, and it has what's called digital noise reduction done. And also there are certain little things changed from Cameron. But I would want to see not only the film preserved and the sound preserved from the original theatrical showing, I would also want to see the additions preserved. Because this looks like it's a lot. Like, you take it out of the cover right here and we'll have a look. It's pretty much the same artwork as the cover. And the thing inside what we call the slick, which is that cover that sits inside the plastic, that's called the slick. And that's pretty much the same as well. Like, you look at this, it's kind of a straightforward edition. I think that's a digital code or something, but there's 2 discs in here. And it's not a much happening edition. Like, you look at it, yeah, it's a 4K, but it's not a much happening edition. Whereas if you go back to something like the Laserdisc, look at this. This is a true collector's piece. Now, given not everyone has a Laserdisc player, I get it. But look at the artwork, that compared to that. Which one would you prefer to show on a shelf, is what I'm saying. Like, if you had a spot on your wall where you were like, you know what, True Lies is my favorite movie or whatever, I want to showcase it. Are you going to be putting that on your wall? Or are you going to say, give me that Laserdisc, look at that. That is a beautiful thing. Or you could also get the movie poster. In all fairness, you can also get the movie poster. But when I'm talking about editions like this, when you open it up, you also have that artwork inside. And look at that beautiful artwork of Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you have all the art over here, you have a description of what's here, the production, and then you look at the back and it's more art. You know, this is a true collector's experience. And while it may not have been a collector's experience back in the day when people were buying it for the first time and whatever, I'm sure there were collectors who were like, I need to have that copy. You have to look at this as, this is something that would have been erased or lost to time because Laserdiscs were not the biggest thing in the world compared to VHS. So a lot of people didn't buy Laserdisc back in the day. There are a lot out there, but it's not something that is readily preserved. And I think something like even Pulp Fiction, look at that beautiful artwork to Pulp Fiction. Now this is a single sleeve, but look at that compared to the new 4K. Now both relay the essence of what the movie is. Let's look at the backs, but look at that. The back of this one's pretty generic, you know, it has a little thing of the strip of movie frames. But you look at the back of this, you have John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, and you have a description of the movie. It's kind of like the old school sort of trailers of a movie, but by relaying it on the cover itself. That's so important, and that's something that I really am a big fan of preserving, because that would look great on the wall. Can we just say that? That would look great on the wall. But this is the lost artwork of physical media. This is about what I'm talking about. You put up a game like Banjo-Kazooie, and you say, look at that artwork. Most people could tell you, without even saying the name, who is that? They can tell you, oh yeah, instantly, that's Banjo-Kazooie. Now, given not everyone played the Nintendo 64, I get that, or even played the Rare games as they were ported across the different consoles. But most people understand the artwork kind of sells people on the game. It's why I went out and bought Yooka-Laylee on PS4 when it came out, because it looked very similar to Banjo-Kazooie, and it was made by the people who made Banjo-Kazooie. Not Rare, but a lot of the people who designed the game back in the day and worked for that company. And then you look at something like Crash Bandicoot. Now, I am someone who made a big mistake back in the past. I threw out all my covers and kept the discs. So you'll see in my PS1 collection, when I show it from time to time, that I keep discs like, that one's the Platinum Edition, this one is just the normal. But you see me just house them like that, because I threw out the covers. Nobody knew these things were going to be collectible, and I didn't preserve it. Now, there are millions of copies of Crash Bandicoot there. I can reprint them, or I could even go and source one. But look at the artwork on the disc itself. Now, obviously, Platinum Games didn't have the same artwork, but that is something that can be preserved as well. Look at that Crash Bandicoot right there. That is something that is very highly important to gaming history. You're talking about the mascot of PlayStation at one point. And artwork is just as important as preserving as the core movie or the core game or the core sound or anything. Artwork is what sells people on a copy to take home with them. You see that on a shelf in a store and be like, True Lies, hey, I remember that movie. I want to take this home. I want to hand over my hard-earned to have this on my shelf because I want that movie. You look at something like Good Will Hunting, for example, and you look at this where this would have had a big rental market back in the day. Now, the Blu-rays obviously weren't around in that era, but you look at DVDs and look at how the cover of this would have sold people on renting that movie back in the day, and how they got another stream of income from that cover. You understand how a movie became so big over time and how it really showcased to fans without even watching it, this is the movie you want to watch. This is one of your overnight movies that you can take home, watch it and enjoy it at your own home, at your own leisure. But over time we've lost that, and it's not just the movie that sells people. Part of the reason why a lot of the younger generation are going back to TV and going back to old methods of watching media is because they're so overwhelmed by choice on the digital age. And yes, it's great to have a selection of content that you can access at any given time, but there is so much choice that people just become overwhelmed by it. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you want a movie to stand out at you like, oh, Robin Williams and Matt Damon, yeah. And then you go around to the back and have a read of what it's about and be like, yes, this is the movie I want to watch. Instead of an auto-playing trailer, that is a whole other experience because you're actually taking it in your hand, ownership over the physical media, looking at the cover and interacting with it, and that is an important thing of physical media as well. Now, I believe that we should preserve just about everything. I think the artwork, the sound, the theatrical version, Star Wars, but you know, I think there's so many ways to preserve things. And likewise, while we go into the digital age, whether you choose to buy officially, stream it, or do unofficial means, we need to look at how do we preserve best artwork like the Laserdiscs? How do we preserve that in a way that will be showcased for future generations? So that if, I don't think Laserdiscs are ever going to come back, but say, hey, maybe we put the Blu-ray inside of it or something, and we can have the whole case to showcase it. I would like this scanned or something and available, and the studio to be able to reprint it and say, you know what? This is a new generation, and you have that with vinyl. Look at how vinyl bounced back after a certain time. Everyone thought vinyl was dead against tapes and CDs, and which one's surging at the moment? Vinyl. Like, you understand? Just because it is defunct right now, and just because no one's getting into it right now, doesn't mean that there's no value in it. There is value in this stuff, and it is very valuable to future generations to showcase how we used to rent stuff. Why Jaws could sell you, I mean, yes, this is the movie poster they adopted, but how the cover of Jaws could sell you on taking this home for the night from a rental store. And the little stick on the back where you start writing, that could also sell you on the movie. There is a lot of variables here that really sell you on the movie. And that's where I'm going to end it, guys. What do you think about the lost art of physical media? I'm not just talking about movies or anything. I'm talking about the actual artwork itself, the actual discs. Let's have a look at Good Will Hunting's disc. I mean, that's pretty generic, but you know what I mean? Like, there is a different way to look at this. And I think while we go forward in time and start going, oh, we don't need those silly discs anymore, why would we need those things? We're also losing disc artwork. We're losing covers. We're losing special features. That is another thing that has really went missing on the digital age, given people just go to YouTube and watch uploaded copies of it. But that's not the same as having a disc that you actually own and can watch at a second's notice. And I would love all that to be available online so that people online can have the same experience as a disc, but it's just not. Obviously, you're losing quality. There's a lot of variables with that. But when I talk about physical media and the lost art form of physical media, it's clear to me that we need to be doing more to preserve the artwork and the experience of it itself. Now, there are websites out there that do that. Like, I could easily preprint the covers for Crash Bandicoot. I could easily reprint those. But I choose not to because A, it wouldn't be the authentic printed version from back in the day, so that's why I'd rather just go and source another copy if I was going to do that. But also, I believe in this is a product of its time now. It shows something that, hey, I didn't think this thing was going to be a collectible. I didn't think it was going to be worth money down the track. I mean, this is the era when PlayStation 4 couldn't play backwards compatible games. So we look at that and look at, like, a lot of people thought digital was the way to go for a long time. And in saying so, threw out all their physical media. And now there are physical media that still survive, but it's becoming scarcer and scarcer as disc rot kicks in on some older movies. As, you know, HD DVDs, like, that's even an era. Like, there's a lot of disc rot with Warner Brothers releases on that format. Laser discs can even rot. So there is a lot of variables here. But let me know what you think down in the comments, because I'd really love to hear what you have to say. And I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for joining me for this chat. And I'll put a couple of videos at the end that I hope you will enjoy. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.